Getting there.
Mel,
Hey, Shell, how you doing?
good. How are you?
I am wonderful. Thank you.
You're looking beautiful as always. How are you and the family?
Everybody's doing great. Thank you. Thank you. Everybody doing great.
Absolutely.
Fighting this thing, they're doing is trying to do our part.
Yeah, absolutely. And having to stay indoors and all the other different pieces and parts is a bit much, but we are making it somehow, right?
That is exactly right. That's exactly right. Doing our part and trying to spread that word.
Absolutely. So thank you so much for doing this diversity chat with me. I want to start with just some very simple. Can you please tell us your name and anything you want to share about you that will help us get to know you?
Yes. Uh, this is Melvin. My name is Melvin Wallace. I'm a production manager down here in Charlotte. Work for Daimler. And the biggest thing I got going on right now, I have a 19-year-old son.
Mhm.
And the things that's happening in today's society really concerns me, worries me. Uh, I worry beyond belief to think what's been going on in today's society. And I want to be a part of the solution. And that to be a part of the solution, I think you got to be active.
Mhm.
A lot of people are saying a lot of things, but we want to do some certain things. We want to do a lot of things to make change and make sure our voice are heard. And this is a prime opportunity for this thing to happen if we keep this push going. And I just think we just can't let off the pedal during this time to not to let this push continue. So I'm just definitely stepping up, being involved, putting my time in, also putting the finance in. You can need a lot of finance to help this thing out. So I just want to be part of the solution. So right now, that's taking up a lot of my excess time as far as putting in the fight to help the cause and what we're trying to do to bring light to the issues that we not had.
Absolutely. Let me ask you. So you said you've given money and you're putting in your time, but what would you suggest as solutions to address systemic racism, discrimination, microaggressions, passive aggressive name calling, and all these things? What would you suggest as tools to help reduce that or even eliminate it?
Uh, it's going to be so difficult to eliminate, but you got to bring it to light when it comes up. A lot of time we do a lot of things in silence. And by staying silent, you're part of the problem. I work in an area that don't want to speak out of line and make people feel uncomfortable, and therefore we don't say anything. But if they stepping off, if you hear it, you see it, you got to report it. You got to say something about it. You got to bring it to the light because some things that are happening, some people don't realize they're doing it because it's in their DNA. Some of the things that are coming out and think. I try to spread a lot of history that's going on, and once people learn the history, they can understand what we're going through. Everybody think life just started in the 80s or just started in the 90s. It started in 2000s, and therefore by starting that time, like I ain't seen much, I ain't do nothing, but it's embedded in the ones that before that led the path. You looked at the nonviolent protesting. That was tried. You seen what happened, how people treated us when you did that. Uh,
Selma, Selma.
yes, exactly. And I definitely not trying to promote uh, looting and doing things of that magnitude, but sometimes that's the only thing that get people attention.
Yeah, I've heard that too.
Yeah, and I don't want to take it away. I don't want systemic racism. It's a built culture that's if you don't really look inside of it. And now I see a lot of large corporations taking a stance, and that's where it started from because systemic racism going to the judicial system. If I'm getting you 20 years for the same crime, I'm getting this person 2 years or no years. It's just built in, and they don't even think they're doing anything wrong.
Right.
But they do know they're doing something wrong, but it's something that's set up in the system that we allow. Say, oh, you went through the judicial system. If it ain't built up to allow us to do it, and we don't bring, a lot of those people voted in.
Yeah.
And if they voted in, we got to cast our votes. Some things that we, certain part of the system that we don't take advantage of by not voting in and not participating in.
Yeah.
And allowing a few that do and making all the decisions. We got to get involved in all aspects of the judicial system as far as voting people in to make the right changes, to see things changing. And putting money in, backing people who putting fights out there. We have the Black leaders of Charlotte. They take donations, but they taking donations because you got some people, that's their job to go out promoting what we need to do to make changes. So they do need support financially to get these things going. Black Lives Matter need support financially going across the country to make things different, make a change in there. So there's a lot of aspects that we can help out. And systemic racism, I've talked about that at work. It's a built-in culture that we just got to bring to light. We definitely got to bring to light because people don't know they're doing it. They act like, as long as we're going through the system, we're good. The way you see police brutality, some of them doing it because that's the way they always did it.
Right.
You know, and then they just fall in that same, until we start standing up. They're not used to saying, as soon as you commit this crime or you do this deed, you fired on the spot. That wasn't happening
Right.
a year ago. That wouldn't happen 6 months ago. Soon as you do it, you getting fired. They have to go through this whole investigation stuff. Even if it's obvious, you just have to go through a lot to bring a lot of stuff to life. So it's just good to see, and I just think we got such a big momentum going right now.
Yeah.
And we can't take off the power to stop some of this systemic racism. It's scary.
Yeah.
If you just sit back and look at, you couldn't get loans.
Yeah.
Hey, Rochelle.
Hey, darling, I'm gonna do you as soon as I finish Mel. Okay.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
He's speaking for both of us though, but.
So if it's necessary, that I won't do one with you if he's speaking for both of you.
Okay. Well, I'm sitting in, but yeah, he's doing for both of us.
Thank you so much. So one of the things about firing police officers are many of them are able to keep their pensions or keep their financial well-being. Although they have done some terrible thing, they're still in some way being rewarded. Although they may have lost their jobs, you know, you probably know this as well as I do. Not always does your employment record follow you. So if you were a bad police officer in County A, you could go to State C and nothing. It just looks like you just been a perfect police officer. So Black Lives Matter and other organizations need to make police behaviors transparent. They need to make it so that everybody knows, you know, so when you go in your doctor's office, there's a plaque on the wall that says where he went to school. It might not tell you how great or how poor a doctor he or she is, but at least you know something about him when you walk in the room. I think that needs to be true about police officers too. Police officers should be completely transparent going from state to state, county to county, wherever they're going, because if you just allow their behavior to continue, the police officer who just, you know, maybe killed Mr. Floyd can go get a job in California, and none of this will be an issue because they won't ever have had that in their report. Although his face has been seen so many times, I think everybody would know him. But I mean, there are examples where that happens.
Yeah, you made a great point, because one of the points that you made is, you know, look at all the stuff that's not getting video. I just wonder where we'll be if the video wasn't there.
Amen.
You know, that's the scary portion of that really scared me. It's so many going on, even in my life. I've not been approached, and it was scary to me, and I'm at home.
Right.
And you come to my house and create an environment, mess up my environment. And I was just thinking the whole time, if it goes wrong, I'm gonna be the one that created this mess, even though I'm at home. Right. Somehow, if I don't have any video, if you don't have any videos, no witnesses out there, they are put on the higher standard, like they word is, you know, is it. And right. That is so scary. And I just think the cameras, you see a lot of them not having their camera on when they're doing certain things. Right. Why not?
Right.
Can I sort of just chime in a little bit?
Sure, Kay.
Okay. I believe that a lot.
Oh, there you go. Thank you.
Okay. I believe that, and these are my thoughts, you have a lot of racist policemen. And I think that sometimes the reason that they might become a part of the force is to target Black males and feel like if they hiding behind this uniform, this badge, they got this gun, these weapons where they could use on, and I think that targets them and they feel that they could be justified when they shoot a Black person or go after a Black person for what they would consider wrongdoing, but necessarily is not wrongdoing, but just they feel like they have that authority to go after Black people, and they hiding behind that badge and that uniform.
Absolutely. Very, very good.
Well, you're not seeing a lot. Yeah, you're not seeing a lot of that when they join the force, and it's I think a lot of, like I said, it's in their DNA. If I get a traffic ticket, how I escalate, and I don't think they've been trained on de-escalating the situation. It seems like they escalate the situation. If you stop me for not having a signal light on, that should be a simple infraction that you should be able to go from A and B and move on by your way. For some reason, it turns into something that shouldn't even be there. You ain't have your signal light on, okay? That's a ticket. You know, if you want to give me a ticket, give me a ticket. But it goes into this interrogation. Let me find something else. What else going on with this? Why are you doing this? Why are you doing that? And I just don't think that happens to non-Blacks or other people who get in that same type of environment. It's very rare that you see, when we see a situation where a Caucasian shoots somebody, and you know he have a gun, you know he's dangerous, you know he want, and you find a way to de-escalate that situation where it's not even an exchange of fire. Then you have an African American or a Black or a non-white with no weapon. Somehow you so threatened that you can take that person's life and say, I just fear for my life. But a person that's just, if that culture, that's systemic racism to the max there, where you can go into those type of environment. And I've been telling people, what bothers me is that you are trained and you hear the civilians that be around there telling you what to do, like what you need to do to help the situation. And they ain't trained. They ain't been through no formal training, and you've been through formal training, and you like you don't know the difference.
Yeah.
So it's a sad situation, but hopefully the light that we're under right now can keep shining, bringing a lot of stuff to fame. Hopefully somebody can. I see this quick fine, like you said. I see them people still getting their pension, they still getting their servants paid, they still. But after a while, it might get deeper and deeper. You know, all of a sudden they might find ways to cut that out. And if you see the sacrifice, your consequences of your actions being taken away from you, maybe it'll slow down or it can stop it. Because it still happened after George Floyd.
Absolutely. Happened in Atlanta 3 weeks later, right?
That's what I'm saying. That's crazy. You see that, regardless, if somebody running, to me, why you got to shoot him? You got his car, you got his name, you
know where he live.
You got everything you need. I just don't understand. Like, ain't no way this person gonna get away with me. It's just, I just can't fathom that happening. And that bothers me so much, and it scares me to death, worried about my son out there in society each and every day, worrying about he could be the most innocent person in the world. They choose to say, I want to take this person's life. It's almost like they got the right to do it the way they act in these cases.
Exactly. I have a statement I want to make, and then I have a two-part question. I have been told that the Klan went from hoods to suits. So they're still very much active in the way that they are. And a lot of police officers are affiliated with white supremacy groups and so much and so on. But I want to go back and talk to you first about your son. So your son, how far does he drive to school, to college and back home? How far is his commute?
Well, he goes up to Durham, and he's going to college in Durham. And of course he's at home now with, what's the hour and 45 minutes, 2 hours from here.
And during those 2 hours, what are you and Kay doing as he's driving to school here in Durham or returning home?
Praying. And Kay is good to make that. It's almost like a phone call to check in and do points. Where are you? We just purchased a camera phone. I'm saying a camera for your car.
Mhm.
You know, just do what try to teach, do what you're supposed to do. Just put the camera on the conversation. Hopefully that'll deter something from happening from that point on, because it's been recording audio. But during those times, that is a long trip home.
Yeah.
That is a long, we worry, and sad enough, going to the store. If he ain't back in a reasonable time when he's running down to the store, I know Kay, as my wife, she, where you at? What's going on?
Yeah.
Making sure. And man, that's a different time we living in, that you can't even worry about. If it taking you longer than 15 minutes to go to the store, your anxiety jumps up. Like, man, you got to let me know what's going on. If you stop somewhere else, you got to let me know that you changed, you're doing something different, because the fear is real. The fear is real.
Everett drives 48 miles from here to Greensboro to go to school.
Mhm.
And I do the exact same thing. The minute that car pulls out my driveway, I start praying. I'm talking to God, please let my son make it to school safely. And my son is, he's an introvert. He's quiet. He's not the kind of person, even when I be bothering him, he's not the kind of person to flare up or to say anything that would cause him harm. But my prayer is that he can make it to school safely. And so I tell him, as soon as you're at school, send us a text. And he sends Skip and I a text saying, hey, I made it to school. And then when he says, Mom, I'm on my way home. On your phone, you have this thing, Find My Friends. I watch every single step along the way, and then he still has to tell me where he is. If he's not home in 48 or 50 minutes, I stopped to get something to eat or something. Okay, you need to let me know that. So I absolutely agree with you completely with that point. Okay, the second part of my question is, have you, Kay, or your son ever been harassed or felt unsafe in your communities, in your neighborhoods, in your city, in your youth? Anytime have you ever felt unsafe?
Yes. I had a personal experience. I was working second shift. This is about a couple years ago. I was working second shift, and I get home 1, 2, 3 o'clock in the morning.
Mm-hmm.
I drive home. I ain't too many people out there on the highway, on the road. So when I drive home, I comes into my garage, open up my garage. Um, at the end of my driveway, the police pull up. As I'm getting out of my car in my garage, shines his light in the garage, asked me to come out of my garage, needed to see some ID.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, for what? What I do? What you want? Oh, we've been having break-ins in this neighborhood, and I need to see some ID.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I'm at home. I mean, how can I break in and I just let up the garage?
Right.
And I know he was I believe he was right across the road, and we got a clubhouse and a parking lot over there. So apparently he had to see me open the garage for him to pull around and to do that. And he was stepping toward me, and I was hoping to wake my family up, something like that. I wanted witnesses, because he had me kind of nervous.
Mm-hmm.
Like, this man can do anything. I don't know what you want. And he came up here with his hand on his pistol,
Mm-hmm.
walking towards me.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm stepping back, like I'm just getting deeper and deeper in my garage.
Right.
Like, I ain't getting you nothing, because I didn't know what, and I knew he had made up the thing about break-ins in his neighborhood, because we get all the reports from the association, what's going on. And have we had a break-in in this neighborhood?
No.
Not one.
Not one.
And we not had all these break-ins, and that's why his reason approaching me, shine a light on me. And by the time, since I was stepping back, he just retreated.
Mm-hmm.
Then the man, now if you really wanted me for something, why you ain't come and get me?
Mm-hmm.
So that was a scary moment. And man, I was telling Kara about it. She was like, get his name, and I should have. But the whole thing I was trying to do really is just get away from him.
Stay
But
alive.
because she was like, get his, you should have got his name. We could have called down, to the police station, find out exactly who it was. It was a lot of stuff I could have done, but I wasn't prepared for it.
Right. Because you're trying to stay alive.
I was trying to stay alive. I wasn't trying to entertain this man. This man had no reason to come and get me.
Right.
I don't know how many people break in the house, using the garage with a garage opener.
Right, because you got to have some kind of access to that to do that. But yeah,
And I drive my car up in there, and I'm driving a Mercedes up in there.
right.
And
Yeah,
I'm just, not that, not that that's, that's anything to, I don't know, I can't see me looking like the typical suspect
right.
under those conditions, but, and the only thing I can think of, it was the color of my skin, the only thing made me look like a suspect.
Absolutely. Have Kay or your son experienced similar things, or have any encounters with the police?
No, I haven't. I mean, not where I felt threatful or frightful or anything like that. I haven't. And I don't think that Miles has neither.
Well, that's a blessing right there in and of itself,
Mhm.
because I mean, in addition to trying to, highlight these things, as you said, people with cameras and things so they can get that. I often tell my team, it's always your word against their word. And when you're a staff person and a faculty person, if you get into an exchange, the faculty person said the day is Tuesday, and you say, no, the day is Wednesday, you can forget it. You've already lost. The day is Tuesday, regardless of what day it is. And, and there's another part of that Skip and I talk about, and that's being right. And it's specifically Black and brown people. We have been pushed down so much. We need to be right. So if I can sit here and tell you, Mel, it's 12:20 in the afternoon, you want to tell me, no, it's 4:20 in the afternoon, I'm going to engage you in a very intense conversation, because I'm so used to being less. I'm so used to being invisible that I'm going to really argue my point so intensely, which may jeopardize my friendship and my relationship with you. So, those are the kinds of things that I have been trying to enlighten my community to. And so even doing these chats, so people can hear everyday people's voices, because we've got all the powerful people speaking, we've got all the rich people speaking, but people that are down here in the trenches who deal with these things every day, like what you were describing with your son driving back and forth to school, being in your own garage. So that's the purpose of these. So let me ask you this next question. Did you see the video of Mr. Floyd?
Yes, it was amazing. More than the video of Mr. Floyd, it was just the posture of the cop. So casual, as you hear people saying, you got the civilians saying, stop it or check him. The posture that he had is like, I don't care what you say, what's going on. I almost like, I know what I'm doing. I know I'm taking this man's life, and ain't nothing you all and nobody else can do that can stop that. And that was so, it was just so degrading. It was just, it make you feel like you less of a human being for somebody to do something like that. This wish, and nobody could approach. If you try to, if that other group tried, every time they were trying to approach, they got in a position like, you better not come over here. You got somebody blocking you. You better not come over here and try to say this, man. It's almost like ain't nothing you can do. And I know you feminine.
Right.
I know you. It was so sad, and I think that's what not lit the fire under the country, under the world.
Right.
As they see this, and I even said in my company, I had CEO. He's speaking words that I had never heard him speak before. He's saying things. Let's hope he can back it up, in which every day he give out a written statement.
Yeah.
And it's to this it's really making a change that I had never seen. Nobody in our job had seen it.
Yeah.
And to see him putting these things out, I really think he mean it. It's not elevated our job to, they're giving us 2 days of holiday. You can get paid just to go out if you want to do community service towards any diversity training, the things that you want to do, they'll pay for it. If you want to take a day off, a mental health day, because you feel the stress of the work coming down, granted, no questions asked. Things like, what can we do to make a difference?
Mm-hmm.
Open up his line, communication, go direct to him as far as email, and which I did, but you could email him directly and voice your opinion. And he went back through all of them when we had our town hall, which we talked to everybody. He read back through the questions that was coming out there, and he wasn't afraid of it. And he did admit, I ain't got all the answers, but we want to be open for discussion. And it's making a difference, but definitely we got to keep this momentum going. That was the saddest scene I have ever to sit there and witness.
Do you remember James Byrd Jr.?
Who was that?
James Byrd Jr.,
Down in Texas?
Texas. Rope
Yes.
around his neck, tied
Yeah.
to the back of a pickup truck that
And
literally decapitated him.
yes. Oh God, yes.
I mean, and there's so many of these stories. You could pick one about once a month, every year, going all the way back to 1619.
Yes.
Burning down Tulsa, a successful Black community that were self-sufficient, depending on themselves only, destroyed. You know, same thing happened in Florida with, I think it was Rosewood, or I can't remember.
Yes.
Yep. You know, so you got so many examples of why we are where we are, you know, and I want to ask both you and Kay this. I'm going to ask you first. Are you a violent Black man?
No, not whatsoever. I think that's part of my the character that I bring out, that I like to reach out. I'm very protective of myself and my family, but I'm not the one to go out to engage, even in sporting events, or even in the protests. And I'm not the type to go out and try to engage. Even coming through high school, you can be the best football player. I had the toughest type of position to have on there, but I think a lot of people felt comfortable engaging with me because I wasn't that type of violent person outside those sporting arenas. And that's how you become um, class president. That's how you become, when people feel comfortable enough to talk with you, to approach you. If you're a violent type person, you got a lot of people, one thing they can do is exercise their vote. And if they're scared of you, they don't want to have you in a position of authority. So I think that's always been a characteristic of me. And that came from my family, my mom, as far as making sure that we wasn't that type to engage in trying to be violent towards anybody, or a violent type person. I just want always been a protective type person, because I've been that way growing up. I had 7 sisters and a mother and no father there, so I always felt like a protector.
Yeah. Kay, are you an angry Black woman?
No, I'm not.
Have either of you had those two labels applied to you?
No, I haven't.
Fortunate for me, no, I have not had that label. Not that in my face. It could be described to somebody else, because I do get defensive if I see the wrong is being put out there, and I definitely was. I'm not the type that not won't stand up to it, but I haven't have nobody came into or being reported on and saying I was a violent type person. He just came in there and just went off or created a bad environment. I have not. And, like I say, it could have been said behind my back, or somebody telling somebody else that. They haven't gotten back to me in that stance.
Excellent. So now let me ask you a sports question. So Colin Kaepernick began to kneel during the singing and playing of the national anthem, or some event, to express his concern with the way Black people were treated. What did you think when you saw that?
I applauded. I always supported that, and I always supported that. You couldn't tell me he wasn't top 64 quarterbacks in the league when I seen other people playing. So I knew it wasn't on ability. The reason why they wasn't putting him back in the league. He talked very intelligent about it. They try to find loopholes to tear it down on why he was doing it. But every time he spoke on it, he spoke very intelligent. He was very clear. It was very obvious that they took the narrative and moved it to something else. And unfortunately, they allowed the president to do it, because once the president made it about the flag, the owners made it about the flag. Then the fans made it about the flag. That was just the majority. Not, I think a lot of folks understood what he was doing for and supported him. But once the majority of the fans, every place that he went and kneeled, you hear the fans booing.
Right.
And they knew it wasn't about the fan. And when now, to me, they owe Colin Kaepernick such an apology, which they not stepped up. They won't call out his name,
right.
But they did say, yeah, we made some mistakes on some of the stuff we did. But it's just how they hijacked the narrative that bothered me, and they allowed, the president. I hate to say it, but they allowed the president to really, to his big rally of people that he put together. Once he got them juiced up and put that fire out there, they roll with it. And man, they roll hard with it. So they hijacked the narrative. I was very supportive on what he was doing, and the other ones that followed him.
Yeah.
You know, he had a few that continue to do it. We had one here in Charlotte that did it. Eric Reed.
Yeah.
They allowed him to play, but you know, they let him play minimum because they kept him out of league for a year
Yeah.
in his prime.
Yeah. And you know, the thing about Colin Kaepernick, you know, I will say that in recent weeks, Goodell has said his name, you know, has actually said his name, because before they would say those kind of words that are cloaked in microaggressions, right? So, you know, little slow ways to point out something is wrong with him, not with them.
Right.
But in later days, they have begun to use his name, and I've even heard they're thinking of bringing him back into the league. You know, I don't know if he'll come back, if he even wants to come back, but I think that's just one thing. My last question for you is about wealth and pay, equity, and promotion. So you spoke highly about your owner and how he's been there. Do you find that you are paid equitably to your non-Black and brown colleagues? Is Kay paid equitably? Do you see wealth as a part of this discussion?
Yes, we've been made a lot of sacrifices in our field of work. I do think I've been personally compensated equitably during my time, and I think Kay feel the same way. But we know a lot that has not, and I've definitely seen some on my same level and is not as fortunate as I am. When I got hired, we had a different person in this position. Then they starting them off at a different level than when I was coming in. But throughout the company, what I've seen mostly is they allow us to get to the supervisors, the manager position. They have not opened up that board yet.
Yep, absolutely.
You look at that board, the ones who making the real decision, even in my company, which we have a large company. When we got a home base here in the United States is in Portland, but our corporate headquarters in Germany. But they have not let no one on that board. And hopefully some doors gonna open up to allow that to happen, because to be honest, that's the real decision makers. They just tell our people, yeah, y'all gonna, if you need to do this, you need to do that. Then of course they got to execute that, but they making that decision, and they making millions and millions and millions of dollars a year, and definitely they keep that loophole real tight. Yeah. And I'm not sure on Kay's end, the upper epsilon as far as diversity in that area. And she said she's not
started my job. I don't know.
Yeah, she said she's not. She in the same field, but she got a new job, so she's not sure.
Yeah, well, I understand completely. I understand completely. Okay, we have 2 minutes. They're all yours. Whatever you wish to say.
Well, I just think dialogue like this is so very important. We got to keep it going. Zoom is a bad thing. Now, it's a great avenue. We get on it normally on Friday nights and Saturday, communicating to people in different regions, different areas, and hearing their understanding that we are speaking more openly. Kay had a conversation last night about certain things with the group that she has, that they get together. And we probably wouldn't have had these discussions before then. So I just think we need to take advantage of this. We need to take advantage of this movement that is going. I just talked to a friend of mine this morning, and they talking about opening up the basketball back up. And now you got a lot of basketball players kind of fighting it. They're saying, I don't want to take away from this movement that's going by giving them another outlet. Say, okay, we just relate back to basketball.
Right.
And that's a tough stand. That's a lot of money that they possibly gonna be losing to make those type of sacrifices, you know, are willing to make those sacrifices. We didn't have this type of movement before. We have not. So I'm just proud to see it. I want to see it keep going till changes come. Changing this police reform, holding people accountable for their action. If you're gonna commit, if you're gonna do something, you better be ready to be able to speak on it, and you better be able to hold your own on it. So hopefully, change is coming. I do think things are happening. I'm happy to see the young Black folks and people of color and the diversity in the protesting, not just holding it down to people of color. I'm glad to see the young Caucasian and white folks getting involved in this too. That makes me proud. I know the protesters, my wife and I've been to 2 of them. I've not been to 2, I think she's been to 1. And I've been to 3.
Mhm.
And the young folks, African Americans, Caucasian, speaking up heavily. It does make you proud to see them speaking out, saying things. If they believe it and really can make that push, because it's really gonna impact that generation of folks, making changes in their lives. So that's the best thing I've seen out of seeing the diversity in the protesters stepping up, doing what they need to do. So it's a good thing. It's a good thing. So I'm proud. And I think this thing that you're doing, talking to people from all phases of life, is good and good. We need more of it, and we need to continue.
Well, please send more people my way. Send more people my way to chat with me.
Oh, perfect.
Our time is up. I am going to start recording. As soon as it's converted, I'll send the recording to you. You can review it, listen to it, and see if there's anything that you don't agree with or you didn't think we did the way you wanted it to be done. And then once you have done that, you give me your approval either to upload it or say no, or say we need to do over, okay?
That's perfect. Perfect.
Okay. So I'm gonna start recording for one second, okay?
Okay.
Hold on.